think this is such a good question that I wanted to make a video response. There are probably a variety of ways to respond to this question. Why is the work of a therapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, why is it not combined? The first way, money. It doesn't make financial sense, particularly if you are getting reimbursed by insurance. For psychiatrists, including psychiatric nurse practitioners, they are reimbursed for 15-minute slots. They can fit about 30 15-minute slots in a workday and get paid for seeing 30 clients versus if they were seeing them for an hour, so they'd probably see about 7 to 8. So that's better business sense. The other thing is training. So psychiatrists are trained through their residency in therapy, mostly CBT and psychodynamic approaches. It does not compare to the number of hours spent on training in those approaches for psychologists or therapists. That it's really divided into 3 domains. The first one is medication. That would be your psychiatrist, psychiatric nurse practitioner, psychiatric physician's assistant. So medication. Then psychological testing and evaluation. That is usually done by a clinical psychologist with the help of a psychometrist. Psychiatrist, medication, clinical psychologist, assessment and testing, and then therapy. And therapy is usually performed by a therapist, a licensed therapist or counselor. So they all have roles. There are amazing psychiatrists out there, amazing psychiatric nurse practitioners. There are really good therapists and psychologists. There are poor psychiatrists, poor psychologists, and poor therapists. That is true across the board. It's just really been helpful in my practice to help educate, to make sure they know what they're going to get from each role. I've had so many people, they want to get testing, and so they, like for autism or ADHD, and they assume they need to go to a psychiatrist. A lot of times, if you go to a psychiatrist, they're not going to do testing for autism. They're going to say you need to go to a testing psychologist for that. And that can be really frustrating because let's say if you're in an area where it's private pay or it's taken a long time to get in to see a psychiatrist, you've just waited like 3 months and maybe you pay over $400 for this first visit with a psychiatrist, and you didn't even get what you were hoping to get. And I speak from experience on that, where we didn't know. And I'm a therapist. I didn't know. I had no idea at that point. So some of this, it's been learned through my clients. It's been learned personally. And I have just found it really helpful and important to make sure that I help clients. So that way they know what they're expecting and they don't end up confused, disappointed, or feel like they're not getting listened to. Hope that helps.